Hello everyone, Nova Tempest 4892 here, with yet another voiced skill play. This time, for the second time, we are featuring the M5Y. This vehicle recently got a buff in the major update 1.27. Got a nice quality of life improvement in the form of a gun depression improvement, went from -10 to -12 degrees gun depression. Reload speed boost, a few other things. So, that said, we need to talk about what we are going to do here. So, with this map, there's a lot of ridgeline, and you can't really go wrong with where you go with the M5Y on this map. Especially when there isn't exactly another M5Y to deal with. But the question becomes where we decide to go from here, since I decided to go westward. Do I go up toward the little center area where that Manticore just went, or do I just keep plowing along eastward and seeing what I can do that side? So, with that said, initially what I decide to do is go up the main little area there, but then I'm like, you know what, nah, let's just keep going west. So, it's a bit of an on-the-fly kind of thing. Sometimes you have to think about what you're going to do as you're in the middle of doing something else. So, sometimes that kind of thing happens. Anyhow, so, we proceed up to this ridgeline, and we're going to get a small surprise. There's the other ridgeline king on this battle. There's a Kronvon.
Take this! I've got plenty!
Does some damage and gets the track, but doesn't damage it. I got a real nice shot there. That was actually kind of surprising when I first pulled that off. But now he's currently reloading. So he is all kinds of exposed, at least for about 20 or so seconds. I, of course, get stuck on a rock, get whacked by an Artie a little bit, but again, I'm not super worried. Reserve tracks allows me to keep moving. I hold still to let that repair. The other team has bum-rushed our base, but they are, our team is fighting back on that one. Good sign that we'll probably pull through there, assuming they don't get wiped. See if I can aim for that cupola, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to. It's a very skinny target on the Kron, so I just go for that section. The whole armor is slopey, but it's weak. And down goes the Kronvon. Now that ridge is all but mine. And I take advantage, take out their Artie right off the bat. Now I go to hammer down this Jagdpanzer. There's the object. Bounce that shot. Probably should have loaded gold there. And down goes that flank. Now I just head straight back for the base. Pretty fast, pretty simple, pretty violent game, actually. There's only 4 enemy tanks left. Now down to 2. Yeah, by the time I get back there, the battle's already over. Of course, I have a teammate that platoons up for the Brothers in Arms award. Typically how I get those, honestly. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's typical for everybody. But do please leave a comment if you're one of the ones that has an amazing platoon mate friend. And just like that, the battle is over. So rather than just going straight to the results screen and just breaking down how that went, because of how fast and furious this battle was, I want to take the time to break down some stuff that happened and point out things that teams should do and what teams shouldn't do, some other stuff. Well, based on my own opinion, of course, you can take it with a grain of salt as much as you like. First up, let's take a quick look at how our team decided to spread out from the onset. Now, personally, in my opinion, it's never a good sign when less than 4 or 5 tanks go a direction. Usually, with this kind of initial spread, half the team should go one way and the other half should go another. But instead, on this map, we ended up with everybody going west and just 3 people going north, including an IS-7, which has no gun depression. Now, to their credit, they immediately realize their problem and they just immediately come back. That was the smart thing to do. Rather than get themselves exposed, surrounded, and then eliminated, and, well, there goes 3 players that we could actually have use for on our team. As you can start to see here, even some of the other players that went westward start realizing, oh crap, our base is exposed, and start coming back. One of them eventually is, in fact, the Manticore, and before that, the T-110E4 on our team. So, again, that was good. This is the kind of thing I like to see in a team in tanks, rather than people just going, oh, it's okay, we'll just do better on the next one, just keep on rolling and then get obliterated, because if you don't learn this from the onset, you're never going to have good games. Simple as that. So if there's any one thing I want you to learn from this, is that map awareness in tanks is key. It's huge. Not just for a player, but for entire teams. Another thing I want to point out is that wild shot I landed on the Kronvon. These kind of shots, they are a very big gamble. Sometimes they're smaller gambles, other times they're bigger ones. But as the saying goes, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And if you feel like you have enough confidence to take a wild shot like that, it is usually a good idea to just go for it, because you never know what's going to happen, and in this case, it worked out really well. I will not lie when I say that I thought for sure that that shot that I fired right here was going to smack the dirt between me and the Kronvon, and I would have wasted precious time engaging this Kronvon. But instead, it hovered just over that dirt, smacked the side of that Kronvon's hull, penetrated, did damage. With this kind of situation, gamble shots are basically educated guesses. The faster rate of fire your tank has, the more you can get away with these kind of gamble shots. So, the M5Y, Object 140, K91, Super Conqueror, STRV 103B, all these other kinds of tier 10 tanks with very high rates of fire, and especially the T-110E5, that's an especially good example of one. These tanks, you can take gamble shots with. You have the rate of fire to be forgiving with that, but just don't get too crazy with it. The next thing I want to cycle back to is back to the mini-map and how our team did regarding the situation that I mentioned with the flank that they undermanned. The one nice thing about defending the way that our team ended up doing was that we had a lot of different places to use as defensive positions. The terrain has an advantage for the defending team as opposed to the attacking side. our artillery player had actually run back to a good cover spot, so that helped out as well. Clearly, he was focused on that side. We also had an FOCH 155 come back. We had an STRV 103B come back. We suddenly go from having 3 tanks to 6. That was a good move on the team's part. Another thing they did was the 3 that were up in the front. They didn't just sit there and let the enemy team just swamp them. They attempted to pull back as allies were coming in to give them opportunities to take out tanks that were attempting to swarm them. Conversely, on the red side, they were getting desperate, so they pushed really hard. And in this case, it was just too hard. And what happens is, when you push too hard, it's like you're running into a wall. And in that case, it was an STRV 103B, a FOCH 155, a BatChat 155-58, plus an Object 140 and a BZ 75. As you can see from the map, the enemy team actually managed to push everyone that was around our base out, or at least eliminated them, and then, as I said, they started pushing even further toward the rest of our team, which had dug in and had set themselves up. So, at this point, it had turned into an absolute melee over there. Of course, I wasn't over there. I was trying to help secure our forward flank so we just didn't get surrounded. As their forward momentum stalled, the enemy team pulled back around our cap to try and force a capture, but of course, the folks that were there on our team weren't going to allow that. So what you see is that they actually counter-pushed, or counter-attacked, and this turned out to work perfectly for the green team here, because at this point, I'm assuming a lot of those tanks, those reds, have been battered up from different shells getting into them and all kinds of other things. I'm sure already had a hand with it, who started running the other direction just in case. I feel that's clearly the case here, because by the time I came back around to start helping, they had already started to clear out the last of the enemy team over in our base. And by the way, they had an STRV 103B, but he got distracted by the Manticore, which paid the price, unfortunately. But that STRV 103B, who could have been a really useful asset to their push, was distracted. And therefore, the assault had petered out by the time he actually showed up. And therefore, well, there wasn't much he was going to be able to do anyway. So, folks, here are the results of that battle. With all said, 4,169 win rate. Really good game. Not outstanding, but still pretty damn good. 100% hit ratio. 10 out of 12 shells penetrated their targets. 3 eliminations. Really good game. Not, again, amazing, but still very strong. Here are the team scores. I got 3rd place in base XP earned, from top base XP earned. BZ 75 and the Action X did better than I did. The Action X got Brothers in Arms, as did I, because we platooned at the last moment, of course. The only player that got more than 1 kill on the enemy team was actually one of the IS-7s of the 3, oddly enough, despite the fact they were all in a platoon. Kind of shocking, I know. And then here's the detailed report. Made a 39,000 credit profit. Almost 40k, because I was running a personal reserve at the time. Otherwise, it would have been like a 12,000 profit. Total experience earned, 3,693, excuse me. Overall, pretty damn good battle. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed this little replay breakdown. Hope you learned something. If you're new, please subscribe. If you're a returning viewer, stick around. Hopefully some more comes up that interests you. With that all said, folks, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.